Okay, all right, so why don't you start off by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about you?
Okay, my name is Catherine Bain and I'm the founder of mummetime. And mummetime offers personal development classes and coaching for mothers. And the idea is that they don't have to worry about childcare. They just bring their children with. It's a play and stay for the children, and the mothers can attend the session. So it's very stress-free. It doesn't require any organization, and the mothers really like it. But I have to say that recently I get more and more mothers who have their youngest in preschool and then come without the children. And what we look at is self-care, what's the most important to you about going back to work or not, or starting a business, parenting, and time management.
Okay, all of these things are really important for the families I work with. And so this webinar that we're looking at is actually talking about how to look after, number one, yourself. And so I know
Okay.
from some of the information that I've seen from you before, you talk about covering your basic needs, so a parent's basic needs. So could you just explain what you might mean by that and how, what it includes and how you can achieve that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important. And the way to imagine is that the way you meet needs and you set priorities is in a pyramid. So right at the bottom are your children's basic needs. And the parents I know, they're very good at doing that, meeting their children's basic needs. But what they often oversee is that right over that, before you do anything else, is meeting your own basic needs. And that would include sleep, good food, obviously taking the time to shower and get dressed, but also some sort of time where you can recharge. Mm-hmm. And it's only after that that you can do, think about doing other things which might sound a bit more ambitious or also more exciting. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, if you meet the basic needs first, then in the long run, it will give you much more energy to do all the other things you want to do. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the families that I work with, many of them are doing a specific program to to deal with the autism side of things. And so that does tend to come before their own personal needs, and it's so important that they look after themselves. Because for them to be able to do that really well, they need to be functioning at a good level. And yes. So what sort of tips would you give to someone about how to look after their basic needs?
I think the main thing is it's a main mindset shift, so that you start to realize, okay, I meet my children's basic needs first, or organize for them to be met, and then it's me straight after. Mm-hmm. And all the nitty-gritty, doing the household and all of that really comes after. And I think the first important step is to be aware of it. And the second step would be to acknowledge it. And if you really want to watch a movie or read a book, but if you're just really tired, you just kind of go back to basics and go to sleep and meet that first. And it takes a bit of practice. And it might be that when you're in the really basic need level that you feel a bit cheated out of other interesting things. But it's usually quite a short time, and then you just have the energy and you can do other things as well.
Because what happens if you don't meet your basic needs?
Oh, well, I think worst case scenario is you just burn out.
Absolutely.
And then, you're not enjoying your life, you can't take care of your children, mm-hmm. You need to be cared for, mm-hmm.
Good. Oh, no, that's really useful. And so the other thing I wanted to talk about today was I recently watched one of your webinars, and you talk about being present in the moment, and that's something that I teach the families that I work with, about being present in the moment when they're with their child, so not thinking about other things going on. But it raised something for me that made me realise, well, actually you really need to be present in the moment all the time, but also importantly when you're having your me time, and so what sort of tips can you talk about for people who need, whose mind's constantly going off when they're having their me time?
Well, I think there are different ways that you can leave the moment. The one is about worrying about, you know, your child or what needs to be done for the child. And I think that is something that you just have to practice to not do. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, oh, I should be doing the washing, like practical, organizational stuff that needs to be going on. And what I recommend is to just have an overflow list. So if it comes to your mind, you just write it down. That clears your head. And, you know, you can go back at a later stage to look at it. But I find that one of the most popular ways to leave the moment is social media. Because it is very tempting to think in the moment, how can I present it on Facebook? Or do I have the right picture? Is this interesting enough? Or even choosing the activities according to how it would look online. And I always tell the people I work with not to do that. Don't be on Facebook while you're in the experience, because that takes you off it. Mm-hmm. If you've done something cool, by all means put it on after. So you enjoy it first, you be fully there, and then you share it with your network. Mm-hmm. And I think that's quite important.
Very important, yeah. Have you got any other tips to help people to be present in the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because obviously a lot of people talk about it, but then the reality is it is so easy to have just the thoughts wander. So all I can just suggest is to really practice it. I think it takes practice to allow yourself to be in one place at one time. And I think we've been told for years and years that multitasking is great and how good women are at multitasking. But the reality is you get much more life quality if you're just present and you do one thing, and you have like allocated playtime with your child, time for yourself, and obviously you do the household as well. But you do it at the right time rather than either trying to do it all at the time or at least in your mind juggling it all at the time.
And that's something we talk about a lot in the programs that we do is about quality time and spending quality time with your child. But also, and for me, it's been an aha moment. It's like, well, you actually need to spend quality time with yourself as well.
Yes.
To recharge, I like that, to recharge your batteries, you know. So that's been really, really cool. And I think all those tips are going to be really helpful for the families that watch this webinar. So thank you very much. And is there a way that people can contact you afterwards if they want to ask you questions or use your services?
Yeah, absolutely. My website is www.mum-me-time.co.uk, and there is a contact form on there if people want to get in touch with myself. But there's also a form to sign up for the newsletter where they can have weekly articles around these topics and get access to the free webinar about how to embrace motherhood without losing yourself. So great. Yeah, of course.
That's perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you.